All right, so I apologize. This isn't my usual one-on-one stuff, but this is just like so out of whack in terms of game theory that people aren't even thinking about. That I just like had to, I don't know, put in my 2 cents, I guess. So, what is wrong with all of this? Okay, so let's take a second to like summarize it, right? Pretty much Weldon says that you should focus on mid game and play super safe in scrims like you would on stage because mid game is the most important part of the game in 2017. Okay, I don't disagree that mid game rotational play and objectives turn the game and actually accelerate harder towards a different outcome than early game leads. Right now, in terms of if you can trade the early game leads, which he talked about, but then he ends up going into a tangent. Anyway, this is some stuff that's very, very wrong, like super wrong. Okay, so Korea, what they've done for a while now is they go hard in scrims. Like this is if the gold is within 3K either direction in 20 minutes, a team with the better mid-game decision-making will win. Okay, Korea understands that. On top of that, that's why they go so hard in scrims. The difference is Korea stops the scrim after the early game. Korean teams have practiced early game exponentially more times than Western teams because they reset the scrim after that early gold lead, unless, they have a comp that's built to go on and they understood and they planned in the beginning to give up that early game lead for that mid to late. But they go hard in that early game because there are more early game possibilities as to plays that can happen, obviously, than there are atoms in the universe. Okay? And Korea has gone through more of those scenarios and played competitively early game for so long that SKT mastered it. And if G2 tries to play this way, SKT will destroy them because of this. Even if they master this mode of thinking, SKT's early game will always shit on them. And any good Korean team that has their early game honed, because they practice it, because the scrim culture and the scrim meta is different, and we don't have people saying, oh, we should just ignore the early game pretty much and play like we're going to play on stage because the mid-game decision-making is all that matters. No, because SKT plays like they're going to play on stage in scrims. They play hard. They make mistakes and they learn from them, from the early game mistakes. They perfect their 60-40, like you guys were talking about in your interview or your debate, whatever it was. Okay. Weldon isn't saying you should focus only on mid-game, just that you should make that the primary focus of your training. Don't focus on mid-game if you suck dick at early game anyway. Like, what happens when you suck at early game when the economy is low and there isn't as much gold to go around? If you just get first towered and you get out-rotated in early game, even if it's pressure, not just gold, it's going to mean so much more than if you get out-rotated one time in the mid-game, unless that one time leads to a Nasher or a double tower, etc., if you do have a scaling comp. All right, using scrim and training time outside of solo queue to learn the early game is bad, and that it's the pros' job to learn these things on their own in solo queue. Okay, I'm not exactly sure if he said this, and if he did, this is just baffling. Because solo queue is completely 110% different in early game than competitive. The way the pressure works is completely different. The way junglers play is completely different. For example, I was trying out for a certain team for like a month or so before shit went down there. Didn't end up working out too well, but I worked with a jungler who is well known now within the LCS, and it was his first like true competitive NACS team at the time, and he was making certain early game rotations that were really good for solo queue and would have worked out there, but he wasn't understanding the pressure offsetting in mid lane. He wasn't understanding economically, like, when you sweep your jungle, there's a right and wrong way to do it. If all your camps are up. This was back in the meta where full clear was pretty popular, but then again, so was Elise. And so his level 3 on Elise wasn't being used as well because he was trying to full clear and route in a way that wasn't optimal for competitive. But it would have worked out for solo queue depending on the matchup. So that's just a small example. But there are so many different things about solo queue and competitive and the communication and the entirety of the way the early game works, that if you're saying that it's the player's job to focus on solo queue in early game, that's like telling them that they should practice by batting. They should practice batting in baseball by practicing batting in softball. So they should be practicing like batting against underhand when they're going to be playing against overhand pressure on game day. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. And yeah, sorry I haven't been putting out too much content lately. I've been pretty busy with teams myself as well as school. I'm a full-time student as well. So yeah, I'll be opening up some one-on-one sessions more to the public soon and have those videos out for you guys. I just can't obviously share the ones that are NDA'd, nor would I want to for the teams that I work for. So yeah, have a good one, guys, and I'll see you soon.